everybody, it's the Iconbuster, and I'm back with another review. First off, I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Raven Rage 07, who left a comment on my page saying I was one of the best reviewers ever. So I just wanted to tell Raven Rage thank you. I really don't think I'm all that great, but it's nice to know that I got at least one person who appreciates what I do. Now, I haven't done a review in a while, and it's because I have been extremely busy. But this past weekend, I got to see the new Friday the 13th movie, and I thought, well, maybe I could give my thoughts on it. So the people who have watched my reviews in the past know I am a huge fan of Friday the 13th. So when I heard Jason was back, I was excited. I really wanted to see Jason again, and I really wanted to see what they could do with the franchise. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. Now, there is a lot of nitpicky things I could say here, as both a critic or just as a fan of the old Jason series. Just so you know where I'm coming from, at one point in my life I actually considered myself a Friday the 13th fanboy, and to some degree I still am. But unlike other fanboys, I'm not going to rip your head off just because you don't agree with me. I'll leave that to Jason. Ha 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 ha! See what I did there? That's slasher humor, folks. Ha ha ha! Okay, yeah, I know it wasn't funny. But what I'm trying to say is you are free to disagree with me, just don't be an asshole about it. Anyways, like I was saying, I'm a huge fan of this franchise, but I'm more of a fan of the 6 and above movies, more than I am of the original 5. Now, what's the difference, you ask? Well, in the movies that are 6 and above, Jason has supernatural powers and is like an unstoppable super zombie. But in the older ones, I guess he was supposed to be a regular person, even though he apparently lived after being drowned. So I always thought he was indestructible. Plus, the first Friday the 13th movie I saw was Part 9. Yeah, I know, not a great start for me in the series. That's why I went and watched Part 8, which besides Freddy vs. Jason, is totally my favorite one. So more than likely, I like the Jason movies that you guys probably think are the worst ones. But I'm also on the side of those who didn't really like Jason Goes to Hell. And I'm glad I went back and watched the other movies and gave Jason a second chance. So I guess Part 9 is my least favorite of the series, and Friday the 13th 2009 would be my second least favorite. Now I'm going to maybe spoil some parts of this movie, so if you're interested in seeing this movie and don't want parts ruined for you, go ahead and shut this video off and go watch my Freddy vs. Jason review. Everyone tells me it's a good review. So here's a few things I'm going to try not to complain about here. One being the fact that instead of just being a straight badass, Jason is now using traps, and even has an alarm system. I also thought it was weird that Jason was holding someone hostage. I mean, when has Jason ever held anyone hostage? So yeah, those parts bothered me. I will say that the beginning of the movie dragged out way too long. I mean, I understand they were trying to set up the characters, but when they're not even going to be in the movie for that long, fuck them. Also, what was the deal with Jason and the weed patch? I mean, seriously, Jason would kill anyone who went near the weed patch. And my question was, how did anyone know that weed patch existed? I mean, I understand the one guy who lived there knowing where it is, but how did the kids from the out of town know about it? And how do you track weed on a GPS system? Seriously, if anyone can answer those questions, feel freely to do it in the comments section below. Now, I didn't hate this movie. There was some scenes that were pretty cool, like when Jason found the hockey mask, and I really liked all the death scenes. But one complaint I do have is the tacked on ending. I mean, there was no reason for it. The ending was stupid, and it made the good characters look so stupid. Now, I really hate giving away the ending, but I can't explain how stupid it was unless I talk about it. So please go ahead and go to another video. preferably one of my other videos. I know, shameless promotion. Now, to everyone who doesn't care or has already seen the movie, this is what happens. First of all, the heroes kill Jason in a barn, or so they think. But instead of getting the hell out of there and calling the police or some kind of authority, these geniuses say, hey, let's put him back in the lake. So after they throw Jason in the lake, Jason jumps out of the water and attacks them. And that's how the movie ends. So my first question is, what was the point of putting Jason in the water? I mean, it made sense in part 6, and even in Freddy vs. Jason, that little scene at the end where the girl throws the knife back in the water, I thought that was pretty cool. It's not even like these characters really know or understood the myth of Jason. All they really know is that Jason was some crazy guy in the woods. Even the half-assed story the guy tells at the beginning doesn't really tell that they understand the myth of Jason. So there was no reason for these people to think that the proper thing to do was to throw Jason back into the water. So that's just my thoughts on the movie. Now, like I said before, I didn't hate the movie, but it was not what I was hoping for. Now, apparently the people who wrote this movie were the same ones who wrote Freddy vs. Jason, and they felt they needed to put Jason back in the woods and make it less campy and more serious. But to me, the campiness is what makes the Friday the 13th series fun. But I did think some of what they tried to do was cool. I mean, one thing I did like about the movie was the tone, and I will even go out on a limb and say that this was probably the best acting I have ever seen in a Jason movie. Seriously, I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. But even with that, though, the movie kind of falls flat when the ending of it is so cheesy. I don't know, folks. You tell me what you think. For me, I give this movie a 5 out of 10. And as a side note, my little brother, who before this movie had only seen Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X, thought this movie was pretty good. So I guess if you are new to the series, it will probably be more enjoyable to you. But if you are new to the series and you like this movie, please feel free to watch the originals. I think you will like those as well. This is the Iconbuster saying, Friday the 13th, 2009, you've been busted.